All right, we're back. We're here to, um, today's going to be a little bit of a different episode, but we're back. We're talking about friendship today, and I'd like to introduce my people. Um,
Hello, everyone. My name is Miller Masson.
Miller and
Hey guys, it's Angie back again.
Angie's back again. So today we're talking about friendship and kind of like what that means to us and what kind of like what we learn about friendship and how we can, I guess, deepen our friendships. So, I guess I'll kind of start off with, because we all went to the Jubilee conference. So I guess I'll start with what kind of I guess moved you during that with like the friendship workshop.
Well, Justin Whitmore Early was one of the best speakers that I heard during the conference. And I think the most important thing that I took out of it was the covenant friendships.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really eye-opening. I really liked the analogy he said, where a child was getting caught in a current,
Oh yeah, I like that too. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then the dad was just running along. He was running, and he came in and saved the child.
Yeah.
And he said that the dad was like Jesus, and we were all children. And then I kind of added on to the analogy, and I thought, okay, well, our friends can't save us from the current, but they can just float there with us in that current and,
Yeah.
make us feel like we're not alone.
Yeah.
And, they can point out, they can be like, wait a minute, Dad's coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's coming. We got
Yeah.
hope. We got faith. Let's just have faith. We're good.
Yeah, like they remind us of who we are and who God is. So,
Mm.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any like insights or anything to add to that?
Yeah, we've spoken a lot of covenant friendship on the
Yeah,
podcast that
on
we've
that.
had after
Yeah.
Jubilee. And as a person who's always like been, oh no, like I don't need friends, like I can be
Yeah.
alone,
Yeah.
or due to past experiences that just I have trouble like making friends because I'm like, this is gonna happen every single time.
I'm kind of the same way.
It helps you understand the true meaning of what it is, as well as what you can be to somebody else.
Yeah.
Um,
And have hope to try it again.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like, something I value a lot is Christian friends, because who can better understand you than someone who faces more similar challenges, has the same values, the same beliefs,
Yeah.
and can hold you accountable to things that you can, like, objectives that you have, and you can hold them accountable. Kind of like how he was describing his own friendships with his friends and how they talk about things and they hold each other accountable. Though they're vulnerable, I think that's a very important thing to have in friendship, because often than not, when you have friends, you're so scared to be like, oh, hey, maybe you're doing this wrong, or I don't want you to fall down this path or something, because you're so afraid to confront people. And the word confront has such a negative connotation, because it's associated with like fighting or arguments, but confront is just acknowledging something.
Yeah.
Amen.
So if you can acknowledge like behaviors or things that are wrong in the right way, obviously bringing God into all of this, like praying for discernment on how to use words to best get to someone without hurting them, but confronting them is important, because somebody who really loves you and cares about you, they'd rather, I said this yesterday, I say this a lot, they'd rather see you maybe be upset with them for a little bit, but have that seed of, yeah, maybe I'm doing this wrong,
Yeah.
than have somebody who's just a yes man and just like, yeah, you're doing this wrong, but keep doing it, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
They don't care about you. So that's just what I picked up from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I had to go through that a lot with my father, because as I was growing up and becoming more of a man, I viewed him as a friend, and he still viewed me as, you know, his child, like someone who he had to coddle and like be my yes man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, Dad, like, I do not need a yes man right now. Like, I need to be told, like, what is going on, what you're thinking. And it's crazy to think, like, you can build a covenant friendship with your parent.
Yeah.
And that's still something that I'm trying to really work on, because there's some things that they don't even know. So, you know, the vulnerability, I haven't been vulnerable even with my parents.
Okay.
And it's like, wow. Then when I thought about being vulnerable, I was like, I haven't been vulnerable with anyone. Like, I don't have a single
kind of just were.
covenant friendship.
You kind of just were at the calf though.
Oh yeah.
I was
you're
like
right.
surprised. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that about you. But now like I appreciate it though, because we know you like on a.
Yeah.
No, we can kind of like relate to you like better, because when someone like reveals something like that, then it's like, well, everyone like has their battles, has their history, so it's like I'm not like the only one that has that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes.
And it all goes back to like the principle of taking the first step.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
covenant friendship is like a two-way street, and it's
Yeah.
not something you can do with everybody.
Right.
It takes a lot of maturity for you to understand the vulnerability and be like, they're being vulnerable, they're sharing, I can do the same thing without looking at them in a different way, because we all have, I feel like friendship is something so superficial nowadays, where it's like, oh yeah, we can talk about our days, and then we don't go beyond that, we don't go deep down.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I'll tell you this, and then this is all for myself. I keep this behind closed doors.
Because I think really people are just like, well, for me, I'm just like afraid of and like Roy said yesterday, we're just like afraid of that judgment from other people, because we want people to honor our vulnerability, but we're also like at the same time like, what will this person think of me? Or will they think less of me?
Yeah.
And I kind of want to like backtrack here, because we can talk about that, but also like you mentioned, wait.
Sorry,
No,
something
was coming in my mind about like how friendship can be like kind of like spontaneous sometimes. Because that one day, I will never forget that one morning or whatever. You like I think you randomly said hi to me and like commented on, like, I don't know what I was wearing. You just commented on it.
I wish I remembered.
And I will never forget that, because it like shows like kindness, and it shows just you're appreciating someone else, and just something like as simple as that, I think can help people make friends, and that like.
Yeah.
And I just like, and I saw you again at CCL. I was like, oh my gosh, it's that guy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just like God bringing us together. That was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we were roommates at Jubilee.
Yeah.
Too. It just kept. Oh.
Yeah. So I think, a lot of that. But as far as like going into what you're talking about, I think a lot of people are just kind of like afraid of that judgment, or maybe they grew up like in like their childhood environments of judgment, and like and that kind of like makes them like not want to do that in their adult friendships or relationships. So yeah.
I've really seen that people don't know how to make friends.
Yeah, and we talked about that at Jubilee. People don't know how to do that.
It is kind of confusing. Like, what do you just go up to a person? Like, do you introduce yourself? Like,
we were talking about that. Like, what's the first step to like? A lot of people are kind of like we don't know how to do that. And I haven't been taught that in school, or just in general.
They don't teach you a lot of things in school.
No.
So I haven't. Yeah.
But that's why I think it's awesome to talk about spontaneity.
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 Something like that. Spontaneity. Because it's like, okay. Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna fail sometimes, and then sometimes you'll meet people that you could just do podcasts with. Like,
it's just like you never like. It's more of like you never know, and when it happens like that, I think it's it's one of the best, because you just like you don't expect it at all. So
for real.
I was gonna segue into something. I forgot.
What were you taking the road?
Friendship, judgment. Yeah.
Judgment.
Yeah.
Growing up in a Christian household, I feel like judgment is a huge thing. Sometimes it can be hard to, I guess, what we now know as covenant friendship with non-believers, because especially when they have like a certain expectation of who you are because you've upheld your values or you've upheld a certain behavior of character, and they expect you to always do that. And when you say, hey, I have this problem, like I need support, I need help, there can be a lot of judgment because they see you as a Christian, and the way world views Christianity and believing in Christ is like you have to walk a very straight, like no temptation road.
Yeah.
And they forget that yet we are still living in a fallen world.
In our humanity.
Where we have humanity. We've been redeemed, but we still are living under our humanity and in a fallen world, and we still face the same amount of temptation as anybody would. Yeah. So sometimes there can be that bit of judgment of, should I be vulnerable with this person? Will they not understand that I myself can have vulnerabilities and I myself can have problems? I feel like maybe that's some of where it stems, judgment.
Unless they are a safe person, unless they're like that person that's like that can hold space for you in your struggle.
Yeah.
Like unless they're like that, then but it is a risk.
Which is why I place a lot of value in Christian friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they understand that same thing.
Yeah.
And who would better understand than somebody who has the same beliefs that you do and has the same struggles and probably feels the same way of feeling a risk in giving somebody that power of seeing their vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Now, when it comes to vulnerability, I think we could talk about it. When it comes to that, you said, what did you said it was, you said something. You said it was like, oh, it's like hard to do it. I kind of want to, so I think I feel like it's easier to like keep a lot of our stuff to like ourselves, and we don't see the benefit of vulnerability. Maybe that's why we don't do it, because we don't see the benefit.
Yeah, the risk kind of outweighs the reward in someone's mind.
Yeah.
But I remember after Jubilee, I was sitting down with two of my roommates, and I was just like, you know what, I want these guys to be my covenant friends. Like they're great people. Like I feel like they would really allow me to be vulnerable. Yeah. And I got very vulnerable with them. Told them something I've never told my parents, never told anything. Mm-hmm. And there was like this elephant of weight on my shoulder as I was like thinking about telling them that. And then as I told them, it literally all went away, and they reacted exactly like how I would have hoped that they would. And I was just like,
that's nice. It's like that's like those good moments where you get to like know each other on a deeper level. And you said they're your roommates, so they get to know you more, instead of like maybe oh, I thought they were going there. So maybe like maybe they like kind of like saw you as like this person that doesn't have any like struggles, or like that's perfect. But once you like reveal that to them, then they can like feel comfortable opening up to you as well. Yeah. So you give that person like an invitation with that. Yeah. 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 So that's yeah.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes people may also feel like uneasy sharing that vulnerability because, like you said, the risk outweighs the reward. Mm-hmm. And they expect the reward to be like, I feel like sometimes people may not understand what vulnerability does. Mm-hmm. Like they don't understand what the purpose of being vulnerable is, and they probably feel like the purpose of vulnerability is to fix all their problems, or telling someone will fix everything. But the way I see it is, like, your friends can't save you. I don't know which one of you guys said something along the, you said, yeah, they think that your friends can save you. And so when they don't see that outcome, they're like, oh, well, I shouldn't have done that. Like, that wasn't worth it or whatever. But I feel like the purpose of vulnerability is to open yourself up to other people knowing you and you knowing other people and receiving that, like, spiritual and mental relief of not having
like
to carry
like
with,
he said, he just, like,
with the
felt
weight.
really,
Yeah. So at this point, I'm just paraphrasing everything you said.
No,
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
So
because Justin said another thing. I asked him a question like, did you always turn to Jesus, and how did you strengthen your relationship with Jesus?
Yeah, I remember that question.
And he was like, well, first off, no, I didn't always turn to Jesus. He was like, I turned to sex, drugs, alcohol.
And he was, like, being honest.
Yeah.
Which is,
he was super
I was
honest.
like,
Like,
wow,
what?
he just opened up in front of all these people.
And we see him as, like, this person that's
Yeah.
yeah.
And then he was like, your friends will bring you back to Jesus. And I feel like that's kind of what vulnerability allows your friends to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with Christian friends. They can be like, hey, Jesus got us. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing to worry about.
Exactly.
Or when someone's, like, kind of, when you tell someone, like, something and they, for me, because, like, kind of like my history, I'm like, when I tell someone something, I'm always, like, expecting them to be like, well, what's wrong with you? Why did you, like, but, like, most of the time, it's listening, it's, like, active listening, and they're, like, saying, oh, that's valid, or like, stuff like that. They're saying that, and that makes me more comfortable. So I think over the years, when I've, like, met the right people, I think I've become more comfortable with being vulnerable. But like you said at the beginning of the podcast, I was not, like, always open to, like, new friendships or just or just being vulnerable in general. I was not, like, because of, like, my history. It was always, like, just not, like, letting anyone in. But go ahead.
Yeah, and that's a completely normal response. I mean, after you've had bad experiences and you've had good experiences, you see the negative. The negative is, like, it's like the highlight of everything. Mm-hmm. So you tend to see that more, which is a completely normal response for not just you to have, validating you, not just for you to have, but for everyone to have.
Yeah.
'Cause I could definitely put myself under that spectrum of sometimes struggling to see the possibly good that could come out when there's just been so much bad and wrong and things that haven't worked out maybe the way I wanted them to. I was gonna say something. Or no, I forgot. Yeah, not seeing the good.
So you kind of look for the, like, when you're trying to make, like, a new friend, you try to, like, for me, I kind of used to do this, so you kind of look for the negatives, and then because you're kind of, like, used to that, and it's, like, hard to see, like, how they are showing up. So I think that kind of like messes with our, like, how we make friends. And I think sometimes maybe that's, like, one of the reasons why people might be, like, afraid of, like, trying again or just making new friends. So,
yeah. And I think, like, our culture, it's so prone to point out these red flags of people.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, there's a red flag. See you later.
Yeah.
But I really try to understand where red flags come from.
Yeah.
And then be like, okay, well, if I can understand this, maybe I can help them understand this. And then some change can happen, and who knows what will flourish after the person changes. Like, but that takes a lot of work.
Yeah. So would you guys say that something that you value in friendship is giving the opportunity for a person to grow within that friendship?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's something that I do value a lot. 'Cause I used to be, like, super black and white before. I used to be like, no, this person did this. That means I'm just kind of, like, I used to be, like, very black and white, but now I'm just, like, because like, you're able to, like, see your humanity. I think that's, like, comes with, like, humility, is you're able to see yourself, and you will want to give yourself, a chance. So why not give it to someone else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think about that a lot, like how to help people who have done like very grave sins. Like there's so much, I'm sure you can think of many, but
Yeah.
like those are still God's people. So how can we help them get redemption as well?
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about it in my English class a lot. My professor's like, if there's a bad person, like a racist or, you know, someone who's homophobic, then I'm not going to be nice to them. And I'm like, I see where you're coming from, but
that creates
But I
more
don't.
like
Yes.
distance.
Yeah.
That creates more
Yes.
like of that
it
distance.
creates, and the person will never, if you're mean to that person, then they're just going to, this cycle is just going to keep
It's
continuing.
like the cycle of like, I hate to say it, but the cycle of like abuse or trauma, like how people.
It's similar.
Yeah, it's like kind of like
Yeah.
a similar thing. So yeah.
Yeah.
I can relate to that in some ways as someone who wants to go into criminal justice. People often associate justice with equality, and that's not exactly what justice is. So I can see the regard for people who, when people do bad things, it's easy for you to lose humanity in them.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that this topic got brought up because the workshop I went to, the vocational workshop I went to on Saturday was a criminal justice workshop where a street pastor was talking about his experiences in the criminal justice world and how something he had to learn that was very hard was seeing the humanity in people who had done horrendous things and understanding that they were yet still created from God's image, and they are still human beings who God loves in the same way that he loves us.
Wow.
And seeing the fact that to God all sin is equal.
Yeah.
So they're no better than us and we're no better than them. We are the exact same in God's eyes. And obviously I feel like a lot of that, to have compassion and now like friendships or just for people in general, can be experiences. You can read books, not saying don't like go to college, read, do all of that. But most of the significant things that we learn come through experiences, because lessons we learn are painful, and that's why we learn them, because they're memorable to us.
Right.
And going through those things, making mistakes, helps us be more merciful and also understand that God had mercy for us, so why can't we have mercy for other people?
Okay.
If we ourselves, like, we're not God and God could do it, so why can't we?
Wow.
Yeah.
So having mercy for people in general and having mercy for people in friendships.
Yeah.
That's all I got for you.
Dang. She's like.
Now that's
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. Thoughts?
Let's talk about. Okay, so what's also on my like mind is like how people can be like find themselves dealing with like insecurity and making new friends or just in friendship in general. I think well, I'll just go first. So for me, it's been kind of like assuming that people wouldn't like kind of would reject you before like they give you a chance. So I kind of like assume that, but I think with just finding the right people and giving it time, because I told you about like kind of like my avoidant tendencies, like how like want to like push away before someone like before giving them a chance. But I think it's more of just to deal with the insecurity is time is so important in giving it a chance, because you don't want to just like block yourself from something good. So say if like, okay, Miller, you kind of showed your like intention with your kindness. Say like for me, like my like fear response is to be like, no, this no, I'm like afraid of this, like I wouldn't, like I shouldn't trust this guy. But like like imagine if I did that and like kind of like avoided you, and then just never we would never like would have like went to like the Jubilee and you never would like be on the podcast. So I think like to overcome that fear, I think time is like so important. What do you guys think about that? Like
Time and prayer.
yeah,
Like, pray for discernment
yeah,
is one of the most powerful prayers. Because when I compliment people, like, I think about that. Like, what if they think that I'm like not being genuine with this compliment? Like,
it's always
what
the
if,
what ifs.
like, literally, like, what
Yeah.
if, like, if I compliment a woman, like, I don't want her to think that I'm just complimenting her because, like, I want to sleep with her or something.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
oh, is this person coming?
Like,
Yeah.
it's just always that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I just pray for that. I pray, Lord God, I pray that you just allow this person that I compliment to see it from your perspective
Yeah.
and just allow them to feel your love from my words. In Jesus' name, amen. Bang.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And then that what if just gets completely ironed out. I'm like, well, it's in God's hands. now.
What if they felt good today that you did that? What if they
Yeah.
felt good?
Yeah, right?
What if they
Right? What if they felt good?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always the what ifs. You're
Yeah.
so right.
I'm like staring
Oh.
at you. So I was okay. So like my question is kind of like, what do you think about like time and like insecurity in friendships?
oh, right.
Mm.
Yeah, I think prayer is always important. Also, prayer to approach the right people.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you don't have discernment, you tend to attract or be attracted to the wrong type of people. That naiveness can also contribute to the fact that you want to see like the good in people, or you don't really know how to handle the beginnings of a friendship that can later on lead to consequences,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't know how to start out a friendship. So when you start out wrong, you go wrong. And insecurity, I guess, which were was it that?
Yeah. So my thing is
Insecurity,
like
yeah.
how does insecurity influence like your ability to make friends, or just in general?
I would say when I was younger, insecurity was a huge thing. Making friends, saying the right things, that would they like me, and maybe even altering parts of personality to try and fit in,
That's
Yeah.
something. That's a major thing.
which
That's major.
is something I'm not ashamed of saying, because I think throughout some part of our lives, every single one of us has had that phase where we wanted to fit in. It's part of human nature. You want to fit in with a crowd. You want to fit in with the large majority of people. What's that thing called? Mob mentality.
Oh, I don't know. What that is.
It's similar. It's a similar principle. So having that and being insecure when you're younger, it contributes a lot to even how you associate with people and how you change.
interact.
How you interact with people that likely isn't your most authentic self.
Yeah.
And once you grow older and you see past that mask and you see that, hey, maybe the mean popular kids aren't as happy as they seem to be. Maybe they're hiding
Like
parts
in
of
Heathers?
themselves.
Sorry.
I have not seen Heathers.
Yeah,
And I
this
will
is a
not intend.
reference.
Yeah. You see how unhappy people are, and you see how really unrealistic that whole culture is, and you learn to be more content with yourself and be unashamed of who you are. And I think a big part of that is also being a Christian. When you're a Christian, you face a lot of obstacles that associate with the fact of who you believe in.
Mm-hmm.
And as you grow, it's not a path that you go like quickly, or something that you'll wake up tomorrow feeling like, oh yeah, I got this. No, it's a process.
Yeah.
And process comes with experience. But when you venture in that path, you kind of are used to being like having people maybe talk about you, or being that 1% outlier.
Mm-hmm.
So you feel more confident within yourself, because you know that you have somebody backing you up that not everybody can say they have. So that helps a lot in relationships too, being more confident and unashamed of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's definitely not an easy road. It comes with experience, it comes with age, it comes with the experience of having failed friendships, it comes with this experience of making a fool out of yourself in front of other people, and then seeing that life didn't end there and that life goes on.
Also.
So
I think for me, like for my history, it's always been like, would people like me if I like showed them like the real me? I think we all like ask that question. It's like, would people would people like me if I like revealed, myself? So that's maybe why we kind of like maybe like change our personality. But
yeah.
I don't think back then like I knew that I was doing it. Maybe like on some level I did, but it was mostly just it was just like kind of like a survival thing to survive like high school or just that time in my life. So
Yeah, it's really interesting how maturity just changes that way of thinking as well. Like in high school, we think we have to like fit in,
yeah
and then in college, it's just like, all right, well, we all kind of got our own things to do.
yeah
Like, but then we take it like too far. Like we go from trying to fit in too much to caring about ourselves too much.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And it's like we gotta find that balance, which is really
I think what so I don't know if you know
Yeah.
John Tucci.
Tooch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that
of
guy,
course.
so he kind of like, cause this random day, he was talking about like how some people like how like maybe like as like maybe Gen Z were kind of like really like closed in sometimes. We can be closed in, and like being open, like randomly commenting on someone's clothes, whatever. Being open like helps us with connection, because I think sometimes we can be like very closed in, maybe because it can be like for a lot of reasons, like maybe like just past things, and that's where you're like more like closed off. So
Yeah, it's all about balance.
yeah
It's interesting to see parallels to when I was younger. I tended to be more people caring oriented, and always needing to be around people. It was a nightmare if I'd ever sit at the lunch table by myself. And now it's like, as I got older, it went to the other extreme. But it's important to find a balance and not rely on people. Like when you're younger, you want to fit in and you want to cater towards other people, and you don't think about, hey, I want to be friends with people that I actually value, not people that I think I should be around with. So cater more towards what is right rather than cater for people and what they think of me. And instead think of, well, are they adding value to my life, or are they just like contributing to the negativity in my life? Obviously keeping that too at a balance, because you can't have overly negative people and you can't have overly positive people.
the energy thing.
Yeah, you have to have realistic people, which goes back to those who can keep you accountable, and you can have that covenant friendship and all of that. So it's about balance.
So coming back from the Jubilee, I was like, I like that you mentioned that you're able to be vulnerable with your roommates. So so now that you kind of like came back from the workshop, do you think you have like a different approach to friendship or like vulnerability in general? Do you think like you're just like, oh yeah, now this is like actually beneficial?
Yeah, I think it's like I view it more as a weeding out of people.
Yeah.
Like if they don't appreciate my vulnerability, then it just wasn't meant to be in the first place. So why take any more time or energy putting it into friendships that won't last? And so it's like vulnerability is very valuable, because I can figure out who will be with me for the long run, who can bring me back to Christ. And that's like, I mean, that's the most powerful thing in a friendship.
Yeah. Do you think friendship is talked enough about in society, or do you think we need to maybe, I don't know, because I feel like maybe like coming back, I heard like a lot of people at the workshops say that friendship isn't like talked about as much, but what do you think about that? Like, wait, who's going to go?
I think it's talked about too much, not in the right way though.
Okay.
Like the red flags, like it's literally all over TikTok. It's all over Instagram Reels. It's all you see. Yeah. And rarely do you ever see someone actually sit down and be like, well, friendship is also about this, and friendship is about this, and friendship is about vulnerability. You don't see that. You just see the downside, or I'd say the extremist side, the intolerable side of, I guess, the ideal friendship. But it's not what friendship actually is. So I think that there should be more empowerment for what friendship actually is rather than what you would want it to be, because a lot of what you see on social media is people just wanting yes men. And they don't actually want to, friendship is people who support you, but friendship is also people who hold you accountable, people who tell you when you're doing something wrong. Obviously there's always a right and a wrong way to do things, but the main scope of it is people who can hold you accountable, keep you to your objectives, keep you Christ-centered, even though that sometimes may hurt because you may be straying away, especially being young. You want so many things, and a lot of them may not even go back to Christ. So if your friends see that and they can tell you, hey, you're going the wrong way, man, or something, that can keep you Christ-centered. But everyone's just so afraid of doing that because the way that social media has put friendship out to be is something where you have to walk eggshells around a person. So I think that it is talked about, but not in the right way.
So so my question was kind of like,
did I not answer your
Yeah,
question?
no, that did. But I'm saying my question was kind of like how, cause I remember like a lot of people were just like, either they felt like they didn't know how to make friends, or it's just not talked about enough. So when they do run into friendship problems, they kind of don't know what to do. But it's like different with like romantic relationships. Do you think like that's like kind of talked about more, or do you think like that's kind of like my question is like, because I'm just personally curious about, is friendship as talked about, like because like you said, people like we don't know how to make friends. So do you think part of that might be because maybe we don't talk about it enough, and that we talk about like romantic relationships or stuff like that, where you go on the date, you do all these things, but like friendship's kind of more like, no, what do you do? It's like it's kind of like that, which I don't think is
I feel like romantic relationships are talked about wrongly even more than just regular relationships. But I think like the whole opposites attract thing, I really do not like that, because I feel like friendships should be formed on like similarities. But it is just it's tough because you can't be too similar to a person, because then like you won't really gain any new insight from them. But I feel like humans are just, we have enough differences already. Like really no one is going to be exactly similar to you.
So my like kind of thing, my like perspective is that we kind of have like a blueprint of like romantic relationships, but maybe not so much friendship. So maybe like when we get like in adulthood, that's when it like we don't know like the steps to make friends. And I think, I'm not saying it's, I think because friendship is more like, I think it's more like expansive and broad than romantic relationships, because you can only have like one person, but I think there still needs to be like language of intention. 'Cause I remember Oh my gosh. I remember Justin said, what was it? He's like, "Oh, do you want to be my friend?" And I never kind of like thought of it that way. Like I never like
Yeah.
thought of it like of it like asking someone, "Do you want to be my friend?" Because I feel like that's just too like for me. It's like that's like wow.
I mean,
That's like
yeah.
wow.
I think it could be the idea. I touched on this like a week ago. I think it could be ideal because
Yeah.
it's all about like. Have you guys ever heard about situationships where it's like I don't know what we are, you know?
I've heard I hear about this,
Okay,
but I
I
don't know
feel
what it
like
is.
in a way that could when you're so far along, a relationship
Mhm.
with someone, but you don't know what type of relationship it is, or like what
Okay.
they are exactly. I feel like sometimes you can struggle with that in friendship because you don't know, like, are we friends or are we just people
Yeah,
who
like, I
talk whenever we have free
I sometimes
time?
I sometimes struggle with that. Like, does this person think we're friends? Like, what is like the level of
Which
like
is why
interaction or closest that we need to have to be
Yeah.
considered?
which
like
is why
friends?
I think intention is everything, and
Yeah,
it could be ideal
yeah.
when you want to have a friendship with someone, be like, hey, would you be interested in partaking in this thing called friendship and being friends? Because then
Yeah.
I guess it would be ideal because you both have your intentions. Okay, this person wants to be my friend, I want to be this person's friend, this is what is going on.
Yeah.
And you don't lose that sight of what is going on. But then again, I guess that's kind of
There's
that's
two
not
sides
like a
of it.
social norm
Yeah, there's two
anymore.
sides of it.
But it would be the ideal thing because that's what you do in a romantic relationship.
Yeah.
I think we still do that. We ask people if they want to be our significant other.
Yeah.
I hope so. So that it could be applied in a similar way to friendship.
Yeah, but I think with friendship, it's a lot of maybe unwritten stuff. Like it's kind of just like implied, like it's kind of like
Yeah.
implied, sort
Yeah.
of. Like you didn't like that one day. You didn't like ask me just like randomly, like, "Hey, do you want to be friends?" It
Yeah.
was kind of like over time we got to know each other,
Right.
and it was like over time we're building that up. It's not like it's not like, oh, I'm gonna like, would you like to be? It's not like that.
Yeah.
Which I think it's fine. I just think sometimes there's always like two sides of the coin. So, and I like what Justin said when he talked about, well, when he asked someone like, "Do you want to be my friend?" I like that because it's like it's wholesome. It's different. I like.
Yeah, it's kind of, it gets tricky because you want to be, like, at least me, like, I would love to be friends with everyone, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but then again,
That's your
like,
personality.
I wouldn't like to be friends with everyone. Like, I want to be kind to everyone.
Yeah.
And then I feel like by that kindness, the people, like, kind of like that weeding out process, like the people who will rise to the top will be like,
Mhm.
okay, those are your friends. The people that you keep seeing in the halls, it's like, all right, does he want me to go up to that person and like talk a little bit
Yeah.
more?
Yeah.
And then like with you, it's just like, boom, roommates, Jubilee.
Yeah.
It's like, all right,
Yeah.
obviously there's more than just see him in the hall and say hi every once in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough because
So it's like that continuous interaction, or just like maybe you see them in settings where you're around. Where was I going? It's kind of like, yeah, you're kind of like with roommates.
Mhm.
You hopefully I would hope that you would be friends with your roommates, but that's not everyone. So it's like that constant, you live together, so that builds like intimacy, or that builds that.
yes. So in sociology, we talked about there's a primary group and then there's a secondary group.
Mm-hmm.
And in your primary group, you will have frequent contact, feedback. So like face to face, I can see your facial expressions, your emotions, hand gestures.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one is intimacy.
Yeah.
And the constant interactions and the feedback, like that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
And he said that if you have all three of those, that's your primary group, and then just two or one of those, then that's a secondary group.
Okay.
And it's like, what what is intimacy?
Yeah, that's interesting because like because I feel like we're always like hearing about like emotional intimacy and romantic relationships, but maybe
Exactly.
like not friendships.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like, what is that
The
like?
word intimacy itself is connected to romantic relationships, or people connect it to that, but
Yeah.
it's just the closeness of whatever. And you can be close to your friends, you can be emotionally vulnerable, and that can be intimacy because you're being close to them and you're opening up to
Yeah.
seeing parts of yourself and seeing parts of themselves
Yeah,
of
it's
them.
like, well, what is so? And I like that you
Yeah.
asked that. Like, what is intimacy? Because I feel like sometimes we might feel like it's normal to ask that in a romantic context, but the same thing can apply to friendships. Like, how do we build this? How do we build this intimacy in a friendship? How can we build that up? And I think people might be a little like feel like uncomfortable, like with like a couple of like our men's couch like podcast episodes. Like we're like uncomfortable like saying like talking about that. But I think the fact that we are is I think it's important to like note that because it shows like maybe we're uncomfortable with that, and maybe that's kind of like why maybe this like goes into the whole like I don't know how to make friends because I'm uncomfortable with those levels, those steps. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of view intimacy as just caring for the
Yeah.
person you are with. Like, do you really care about what they're saying?
Yeah, like do you value them?
And that, I feel like that's a good way to put it, because you're not gonna, like, I really can't stand small talk sometimes. It's like what?
I thought the complete opposite with you. I feel like this guy is like super extroverted. He like got like small talk, but okay, yeah.
No, I like there's a certain point, like I like to get to know the name, you know, the major, where they're from.
Yeah.
Those 3 things, perfect. That's like a good like starting point. But then it's like, okay, if we're gonna really get into this, we need to like sit down, have something to eat, you know, like
Yeah. Like
if we're just
agree with
like
that.
someone's like greeting me in the hall, I might like be like, "Yeah, like, what's up, Micah? Hey, good to see you. What's your major again? Oh, all right, awesome. I'm a mechanical engineer, and have a great day."
Yeah, and that doesn't. Okay, so that setting doesn't create room for like intimacy because
Yes.
it's just like a one-time thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it would be an acquaintance.
Yeah.
I feel like now
acquaintance.
it's always, oh, he's my friend, and it's like you've only seen the guy like twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I don't think there's necessarily like a huge problem with that. It's just when we're talking about, I always like see friendship as like circles. Like there's like your outer people, then like it kind of like goes
Right.
like closer.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
Or it could be like acquaintances over here and then like
Yeah. Relationships, I mean, I think you can call a person a classmate. You can use the word roommate. You can use the word acquaintance, and they call any. The thing that I'm trying to emphasize is just a lack of value or weight that the word friendship has, and people just throw that around everywhere. It's not like
So maybe we don't know what that means anymore because we kind of like throw that around then.
Yeah, and
like what I think Justin was saying.
And therefore it loses its value. And it's okay to use other words like classmate, your roommate, whatever it is.
Right.
Not everyone has to be a friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
It's like using the word love as well.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like this girl over the weekend, I picked up her hat and she was like, "Oh, I love you. Thank you." I was like, I mean, no problem.
Yeah. So that's another thing that I talk about with like the men is my background is I didn't say like I love you to like the important men in my life. I'm not used to doing that. So it took a long time, and I'm still working on that to say that because it's not really like super normal for me. I'm trying to like, and with like the other guys on the podcast are like also saying that it's like not normal for them. I'm trying to like make that normal. And also so we talk, so it's a lot of stuff. So it's like also affirmation. That's why you'll see me like you'll see like this messages that I send in like the group chat. It's because like I'm trying to like build that affirmation to affirm like our like, because I feel like with affirmation we'll be comfortable sharing things because we know that okay, this person believes in me,
Yeah.
then that means I can like come to them. So yeah, but saying I
Yeah.
love you, it's so hard. Just saying.
And see, that's something I've gotten very good at, like just
Yeah.
because I feel like if you really care about a person and you're just like, man, I love you, like
Yeah,
that
you'll
is
like you won't be
you
like
really
afraid
do
to,
it does hit you in your soul, like you're like,
Yeah.
man, that, but you can't say it every day.
not like every day.
But
And
that's
yeah.
something that
Yeah.
I have to work on because in my family, like we do throw that word around a lot, and it's
Oh.
kind of crazy because my grandfather, I don't think he told my dad that he loved him like ever.
Yeah.
And so somehow my dad, he was just like, I don't want to be like that. And he tells us that he loves us like so often. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man, that's awesome. But
Yeah.
like it does get like whenever we like hang up the phone, it's like, I love you, you know? And it's just like, yeah, it just gets thrown.
Background.
Yeah, thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, it does feel nice to be told that you are loved, but
Yeah.
there's kind of like a, like, I know you love me, Dad, like, no problem.
Yeah. But yeah, I think so with like my background, I think it's like that's something that I have to learn is how to affirm people, which I it seems like I like know how to do it like naturally, but it took like a lot of like, cuz as being like very, I guess, avoidant when it comes to that, it's it's taking like a lot of like practice and just being comfortable with that. So I think the podcast help with that a lot. But just like getting to know the men on the podcast is like help.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. We
Okay.
are almost at an hour, so I don't know if you still want to go.
Yeah, in conclusion to this, the whole love, I think a lot of that roots from everyone's own personal background.
Yeah.
Like speaking, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm Hispanic.
Yeah.
And there's a culture of love in Hispanic culture where sometimes fathers and sons, they don't use that word. Like they don't tell them, oh, I love you, son. Because due to the same like machismo culture of, men having to be like superior and having to be rough and having to be overly bearing and not be comfortable with being emotional. And emotion is seen as something to run away from. They don't use that word as often as you would like them to. So sometimes people, when they grow older, they grow up with that same background and they struggle to say the word I love you. Or even with friends, with their own male friends, because I love you isn't just a
What's
romance.
up, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can have that bromance,
Yeah.
So often that's romanticized and seen as like, oh, like that's gay. And it's not.
Yeah.
It's you can love your brother, you can love your friend, you can love each other.
Yeah,
And
because I guess like in high school it was always like people would say I love you, but they'll have to add no homo to it. And I think I don't know if you experience it.
Yeah.
But I think people do that out of like an insecurity of like what the other person will think. So it just becomes like, oh, I need to make sure I say that. But
had that like parentheses.
yeah, it's like parentheses, but it just but I guess with like friendship, it just needs to be like natural without having to say that. So yeah.
Yeah. So do we want to add like final thoughts or?
Oh, any final thoughts?
I'm not good at final thoughts.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I need some real reflection.
Yeah. So I guess like my question is like you seem to be like very like passionate about like the podcast like and it is good, but I guess like my question is so has it like helped you so far?
Yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed talking about friendship, and it helped me learn kind of what was the I'm gonna have to listen back to it again.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
like Angie's insight was
Yeah.
really awesome. Same with
Thanks.
yours, Micah. So,
Yeah.
and I just pray that I could have some good thoughts as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had great insight. It's normal. Sometimes when we do podcasts, I have to listen back and it's like, oh yeah, this was what was said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the final thought is love each other. You can love
Yes.
each other without it being weird. And
keep doing the speech.
Yeah.
Keep doing the talks.
Yes. I
Yeah.
will keep those up.
Yeah.
But yeah, and at the end of the day, I have been trying to take myself out of it and just say, Jesus loves you.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just a whole nother thing. People, sometimes they don't respond well to that, but
Yeah.
I feel like they'll be like, oh wow, some random guy just told me that Jesus loves me? That's crazy.
yeah.
You never know how that's gonna impact someone.
But it is
Yeah.
true, because going back to what Justin said, like in conclusion, we are finite, and sometimes it's hard to love people.
Yeah.
But maybe them knowing that there's someone who will infinitely love them can make them feel better, or make them feel loved, maybe if
It's
they've
the
never
first
felt
step.
that before. So also understanding that it's hard to love everyone, but just know that Jesus loves you, and that there's someone who loves you when nobody does.
And it's normal if you feel awkward making friends, because
Yeah.
I feel awkward all the time. It's like so normal. So
Definitely.
Friendship is definitely a progress.
yeah, it's a progress. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll see you guys. We'll hear from you. You'll hear us next week. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys.
See you.
Thanks for having me.